Oh, that's just our Michael. He's as daft as a brush. They'll tell you he's simple or a little bit touched. He just stands there all smiling and he speaks double Dutch. The whole street would always say he'll never amount to much. We lived by the mouth of the river in those days, watching the coal ships leaving and returning to the stays. That's why me and our Michael would sit and would play, for no one else could ever get a word that he'd say. Well, he hadn't been born with a whole lot of gifts, and he couldn't speak proper, though you could gather his drift. But the thing about Michael, as daft as you wish, he was strong, like a bullock, and he swam like a fish. He swam in that river, as black as the coal. Seemed like the current was part of his soul, not seeming to notice the wet or the cold. Half fish, half man was the story they told. Well, that's just our Michael. He's as daft as a brush. They'll tell you he's simple or a little bit touched, but he's fond of the swimming and he speaks double Dutch. No one thought he'd ever amount to that much. We were sat in the Siemens, me and our lad, and it's always hard to tell if he's happy or sad because he just sits there all smiling, even when he gets mad. But he's my brother, and the only one that I've had. When the back door blows open and a cold wind blew, there's a ship on the rocks and she's broken in two. They've rescued the captain and most of the crew, with all hands accounted for, except for two. We ran down to the river to see what could be done. It'll be 6 long hours till we saw the sun. And out there, on the middens, where the ship was undone, and the sea level rising, and the tide on the run, they said, we cannot put a boat out again from this side, but for 2 lost souls we think might have died. The wind's too strong, the river's too wide. And there's my brother Michael, wading into the tide. He was halfway across already, when we heard the cries of those the boats had left behind, pleading for their lives. The boatman looked at us askance, his face a cloud of doubt. That's me brother Michael. He'll get the buggers out. 4 times across that water in the awful dark, and then there were 2 found souls upon the shore, and weeping their amens. No, Michael, you've done it now. There were but 2 lost men. But he shakes his head in answer, and he dives back in again. The sea was like a mill pond the next morning, as we saw hardly the same angry waters we'd seen the night before. And they found another body in the rigging down below. Was that what pulled our Michael from the safety of the shore that night, when we were forced to strain our eyes into the black, the harder to separate the fiction from the fact, and cursing God the Father for the courage that we lacked that night when our Michael, my sweet, daft brother Michael, half fish, half man, didn't make it back.
Oopsie.